Hello everybody and welcome back to East Memories of Celceta, and we are now going to be entering the Lufia 2 phase of the game. The puzzles in the Silver District of Iris were pretty easy to figure out, but next we need to do something a bit more complicated. One of the things I appreciate though is that each section of Iris has either different enemies or enemies with different behaviors depending on which district you're in. So you're not fighting the same things for an hour or however long it takes you to figure out all of the dungeon's puzzles. Which is something that's kind of important in an action RPG. However, the puzzle-ular nature of these areas means that it can be a bit of a chore to get all of the chests, and it's worth getting all of the chests. Because things can get pretty messy around here. Oh look, we have to use Durin more. Alright. Yeah, things like this. So the big puzzle here is all these switches that change the position of all of these sliding platforms. Anytime you hit one of these switches, all of the others pop back up, so you need to deal with how you path your way through this area. That's the real big challenge here. The monsters aren't especially difficult, they're pretty easy to block or dodge against and get your combos in. And the floating ones that shoot the water beams or whatever, they can be stunned just through normal attacking, so there's no telling what using actual stun abilities will do. There's really nothing special as far as challenges go in this area besides that. The thing about Ys as far as being an action RPG goes is that it has usually been pretty light on puzzles for almost all of its existence. A lot of its difficulties have stemmed from, not having the right environment item to bypass certain areas and then going back around and having to search for that. So I think this is the first area I've been in an Ys game that has ever actually gone really heavy on puzzles. And then there's this thing. Okay. Sure, grab the high voltage fence. Yeah, the way you pass through here is by using the dwarf bracelet. There is no other solution. But it's nice that they brought it back after so many dungeons of never using it. No, wait. We used it in Colonia. So I was completely wrong. How about that? So these monsters here can inflict misfortune. And there's always a use for gold if you still want to power up before facing the final boss or any of the other bosses you might find around here. You are still constantly getting new equipment like in any decent Ys game. Now that chest over there is going to cause some logistical troubles. But we're gonna figure that out. all chests are worth it. I won't be getting all of the wooden chests, but all of the major chests, yes. Okay. That should get us the loot down here. Yeah, there are an absurd amount of treasures in this area. Okay, that is the ultimate... Well, that's the final dungeon fist for Durin. Okay, dispose of this guy. Yeah, the thing about Aura Fencer is that unlike Adol's other sword skills, Aura Fencer has a tremendous range. Okay, we've solved how to get to that chest over there. Just hope it's worth it. And we can't unlock it without Durin. More armor? Yeah, I'll take that. So now I've put myself in a bit of a pickle because I can't actually advance to the next section of the game because of how I hit all of the puzzle block slider trigger things. And it took me a little while to actually realize it. Like I said, I'm not used to dealing with puzzles in an Ys game. Yeah, the reason this video is so long is because the puzzles around here are a little bit obnoxious in some ways, in that you've never had to hone any sort of puzzle-solving skills for the entire rest of the game. And the thing is, the Gold District was going to be long no matter what, so it was going to be awkward to fit into any video I was going to do. In the end, I adopted the Lufia reset, which means just resetting the entire thing and going back in and starting from scratch. I've already recorded the final video, and that's going to be a much more manageable time. The reason I did that was because there wasn't really going to be much room to decide what to do next. The only thing left to do after finishing Bronze and Gold District was to just fight the final bosses and finish the game. I don't mind them making Iris the final dungeon. Iris was a rather central location in East 4 Mask of the Sun, but I definitely prefer the way that previous versions of East 4 did it, which is to make the entire City of the Ancients the final dungeon. And the thing about Falcom final dungeons normally is that they aren't usually a straight nothing-but monster and puzzle bashing your way through to the final boss and the end of the game. Because in a lot of Falcom final areas, like the Liberarch and Trails in the Sky, Darm Tower in East 1, Solomon Shrine in East 2, is that they are not really bereft of the other parts of the things that make RPGs RPGs. You still get plenty of character interaction and development and all that sort of thing as you're moving through to the last parts of the game. The few Falcom games that don't have that sort of thing throughout their final dungeons tend to have very short final dungeons, like the finals in Wanderers from East and Dragon Slayer Legend of Heroes. There's really nothing quite like, say, the Lunar Subterrane in Final Fantasy IV in a Falcom game. Falcom has always been a rather fascinating company to me because the thing that has generally defined their design style over the decades is that they've been something of late adopters. They always seem to be one step behind the newest trend in game design, and that's rarely to their detriment. Even the idea of a party-based action RPG isn't really new to Falcom, as they've been doing that sort of thing since Sorcerian. And apparently there was actually an English release of Sorcerian at some point. I'll have to track down the details sometime. Yeah, another reason that the video is this long is that I had forgotten that Bronze District actually had a second phase to it. Okay, to raise the water level, you need to smash the water jars with the Beast Claw, like the tablet beforehand told you to. And we don't actually need to use the Water Dragon scales, because we just need to swim all the way to the next thing. Okay, I may have winced when I saw this, but this isn't really a teleport maze in the same way as the ones in East 1 or East Origin were. You can just draw a straight line between the portals and know exactly where you're going to wind up. Thank you for the rare material. I might use it for something, actually. But who knows? Not even the Shadow knows. I don't think I've ever really used the temporary buffs except for, like, one thing. So this place isn't really any kind of bother to navigate. Oh hey, a permanent buff. Okay, so that looks like progress, and that's something we want to avoid as much as possible, game-wise anyway. Yeah, that's definitely the path to the boss area, and there's a red chest over there, so we're definitely going back for that. And there's a diamond in case we do want to do some really powerful stuff. Yeah, this is definitely a route I missed last time. You have to be diligent. It makes the game easier. Okay, I probably should have checked what that does. Oh well, I'll just leave that as a mystery, I guess. I'll have it looked up before we do the next video. Oh yeah, we got a neat suit of armor for Ozma. And that would be the final dungeon sword for Adol, but we already have his ultimate weapon, so that's useless to us. Okay, the Bronze Colossus. This guy is a melee bruiser. He does a bunch of stuff that you can easily guard, but he might attack more often than you could be prepared for. His two main attacks are the multi-smash you just saw, as well as the whirlwind thing we just got nailed by. You can guard anything and everything he does. And besides that, you just stun him and smash him like you do with all of the other Colossi we've encountered just so far. You know, just the one. His stun meter is pretty easy to beat, so getting him into a DPS phase isn't really a problem if you have the right people installed in your team. And down he goes. Easy, right? So we lit up the Bronze District plate, and now it's time for Gold District, which might have probably the most painful puzzle in the franchise. Someone can correct me if there are worse ones in Ys 8 or 9 or 7. Okay, so the puzzle here is to slide things so that the pathways connect. However, only pathways that connect via the hexagons can actually be traversed, as I'm going to demonstrate like an idiot. Because the hexagonal platforms are the ones that bridge the intervening space. And in this chest we get Kalelica's final dungeon weapon, which I'm going to equip once I remember to actually do that. So there are 6 control panels that allow you to adjust where the pathways lead. Now, if you just needed to build a pathway that would take you to the final stairway, that would be too quick and easy. So there are actually a few areas where you need to clear out rooms of monsters in order to unlock the final door of Gold District. And whenever you clear out one of these monster rooms, all of the enemies in the main room just reset. Also, if you see me fumble with this sort of thing, the controls for the different rings in this room are not particularly friendly. And it doesn't help that the enemies around here inflict paralyze. Oh! Well, I'm definitely going to be using that before the final boss. Yeah, I've decided that I'm going to be using it on Frida. Okay, now I need to just finagle everything, and we should be good. Yeah, this is the puzzle I was dreading because I knew it was going to have some effects on my video time. And I tried to cut this video down to make it shorter, but it didn't actually save much. So I decided to leave just all of my fumbling in so you get the true experience of the Gold District puzzle. Each of these monster rooms are based on monster groups that you encountered in previous dungeons in the game. These are based on the goblins in the underground tunnel between Selray and Highland. And they inflict poison and paralyze with their arrows. There are 4 of these doors that you need to clear out before you can finish the area. And this is where I forget how to do everything. Yeah, you're just going to have to bear with me for a moment. For some reason, I just completely lost the ability to read the puzzle correctly and have everything actually work out. I have a feeling I knew what I was trying to do, but just couldn't make the connections required to do it. Well, at least I got another chest out of the deal. Yeah, nothing doing over there either. Oh, that leads to nowhere. Well, too bad for me. Yeah, I think I eventually just gave up and decided to go to the opposite side. Even though the solution might have been staring me in the face the whole time. And I think part of this was me just wrestling with the controls of this thing. I think I might have actually resorted to the D-pad at some point, which is really the option of last resort. Especially since I'm still using like the 360 gamepad. I think I might have originally bought that controller for Dark Souls. So what you are seeing is a demonstration as why I will never do Lufia 2 for this channel. It is a great game in many ways, but it is not for anyone who has a fear of puzzle. Okay, now that I've gotten that sorted out, I'm going to be heading over to the opposite side. I find Lufia 2 to be kind of a fascinating game because the first game was kind of basically a sort of Dragon Warrior clone in that it didn't really do anything special. Aside from having a decent soundtrack, of course. But Lufia 2 was something else. I need to figure out how to describe how much something else Lufia 2 was compared to its predecessor. It's still kind of seen as the high water mark of that series. And I think there are a lot of series that sort of peaked with their second game. I know Langrisser is one of them. And Shining Force is another. Okay, so these are jungle spiders, like the ones we've fought before in other areas. These are based on the ones in the Komodo dungeon, the one where we first encountered Master Remnos. Okay, that's 2 down. Here's hoping the 3rd and 4th don't take nearly as long to clear out. Oh yeah, this is no problem. Oh, no chest here. Well, we'll kill the monster anyway. And these are the frogs from the Celceta cave. Not going to turn down another level, because the end of the game is upon us. I'm going to maybe have to take back at what I said, because this is definitely the most puzzle-heavy out of all of the Ys games that I've played, come to think of it. It's just that the puzzles have never been nearly as large-scale as this one throughout the rest of the game. Speaking of other playthroughs that I would love to do but would never happen, I would say that Trails in the Sky would be up there. If I could just get together the time and energy and the mood to just do Trails in the Sky 1st and 2nd chapter, that would be done. The only real shame about Trails in the Sky is that it takes so long to get to the finish from the beginning. Like I said, I'm not really the kind of person who can go through 100-hour RPGs with some reliability. And I think Trails in the Sky is the only one that I've really managed that. I know that Ultima 4 used to be advertised as something like a 100-hour game, but that's mainly because Ultima 4 was balanced around the idea of the player having no idea what they were supposed to be doing. And this is where I begin to see what I was missing last time. So it actually was really easy. I was just dumb. I was doing a dumb. And these are the giant armor enemies from Eldiel's Tower near Highland. I decided to just blow them up because I was running over time as is. So, that's all of that. And I may have forgotten that I didn't actually need to change anything. Whoops. Yeah, I'm going to be skipping over that other wooden chest. Because there's only so long I can record. I don't really have any space troubles. I have made some storage additions precisely because I knew I'd be doing more of this sort of thing. You know, with modern games. I guess if you can call Memories of Celceta modern. This was a Vita game after all. It's not exactly AAA. One of the things that surprised me, though, is that back in the earlier days of Steam's tagging system, Ys games like Ys Origin and Oath and Felghana were tagged as indie, even though Falcom is older than a lot of video game companies. Like, the Dragon Slayer series started in 1980. Oh, it's an indie game, even though it's by one of the most established video game companies. That makes sense somehow, and we're not going to question it. Now we'll see what this last chest gets us. Okay, that is Ozma's final dungeon weapon. Okay, so the Gold Colossus is a bit of a punch man. He has a bunch of big area attacks, but all of them are pretty slow, so they shouldn't be any problem to guard if you know how to guard attacks. So this one shouldn't be a problem either. All of the Colossus enemies are not particularly difficult, and they tend to have less durability than a lot of the bosses we've been fighting before. And this one is almost down already. And that takes care of all of the districts. The path to the top of Iris is open to us, and we're just going to be heading up there. The things I want to accomplish up there won't take very long, so don't worry about that. Another one I'd considered doing, but not actually, was Romancing Saga 2, because that has one of the most unique setups of JRPG. This area is actually very small. It's just basically a set of ramps and you're at the end. Fine, we're gonna hurry. Just you watch. The only real dangerous enemy around here is this big guy, who has white sweeps that can do a fair bit of damage. They do give good experience, though, so feel free to farm. Okay, that's it for this time, and next video will be the very end of Ys, the Memories of Celceta. See you then!